Scipio called up fresh troops in preparation for the storming of the Bursa. The soldiers proceeded with caution, as the nature of the hill made it an excellent terrain from which to stage ambushes. 3 narrow streets led up the steep slopes. Each was flanked by 6-story houses from whose roofs their inhabitants mounted a desperate last defense by raining missiles down onto the advancing legionaries. However, Scipio, a seasoned siege tactician, quickly regained the momentum by commanding his troops to storm the houses and make their way to the roofs. From there they used planks to create gangways over to the adjacent houses. While this battle raged above, the slaughter on the streets continued. Once the resistance on the roofs had been neutralized, Scipio ordered that the houses be set alight. So that his troops' progress up the hill should be unimpeded, he also commanded that cleaning parties should keep the streets clear of debris. However, it would not be just stone and burning timber that came crashing down from above, but also the bodies of children and the elderly who had been sheltered in secret hiding places within the buildings. Many, although injured and horribly burnt, were still alive, and their piteous cries would add to the cacophony around them. Some were subsequently crushed to death by the Roman cavalry proceeding up the streets. Others would meet a far more gruesome end as the street cleaners dragged their still-breathing bodies out of the way with their iron tools before tossing both the living and the dead into pits. For 6 long days and nights the streets of Carthage were consumed by this hellish turmoil, with Scipio conserving the physical strength and sanity of his men by regularly rotating his killing squads. Then, on the 7th day, a delegation of Carthaginian elders bearing olive branches from the sacred temple of Eshmun as a sign of peace came to beg the Roman general that their lives and those of their fellow citizens be spared. Scipio acceded to their request, and later that day 50,000 men, women, and children left the citadel through a narrow gate in the wall into a life of miserable slavery. Although the vast majority of its surviving citizenry had surrendered, Hasdrubal, his family, and 900 Roman deserters, who could expect no mercy from Scipio, still held out. They took refuge in the temple of Eshmun, which, because of its lofty and inaccessible position, they were able to defend for some time. Eventually, lack of sleep, physical fatigue, hunger, and terror forced them onto the roof of the building, where they made a final stand. It was now that Hasdrubal's nerve broke. Deserting his comrades and family, he secretly made his way down and surrendered to Scipio. The sight of their general groveling in supplication at the feet of his Roman nemesis merely hardened the resolve of the remaining defenders to die a defiant death. Cursing Hasdrubal, they set fire to the building and died in the flames. It would be Hasdrubal's own wife, with her terrified children cowering at her side, who would deliver the final damning verdict on her disgraced husband. "Wretch," she exclaimed, "traitor, most effeminate of men, this fire will entomb me and my children. Will you, the leader of great Carthage, decorate a Roman triumph? Ah, what punishment will you not receive from him at whose feet you are now sitting?" She then killed her children and flung their bodies into the fire before throwing herself in after them. After 700 years of existence, Carthage was no more. Introduction. Recovering Carthage. Hannibal's shield. In the late 1st century A.D., Silius Italicus, a very rich Roman senator with literary pretensions, wrote the Punica, an epic poem that took as its subject the Second Punic War between Carthage and Rome. At over 12,000 lines long, the work almost made up in sheer ambition for its author's lack of poetic talent. One of its more memorable sections centered on a suit of fine bronze armor and weaponry, strengthened with steel and finished in gold, that skilled Galician smiths presented as a gift to the great Carthaginian general Hannibal while he was on military campaign in Spain. In laborious detail, Silius related how it was not just the excellent craftsmanship of the plumed helmet, triple-bossed breastplate, sword, and spear that delighted Hannibal, but the intricate scenes from Carthage's past engraved upon a great shield. This medley of historical highlights included the foundation of the city by the Tyrian queen Dido, the doomed love affair between Dido and the Trojan founder of the Roman people, Aeneas, scenes from the First Great War between